I get the idea, but putting this many popular search terms in one ad is... No, I'll do it. This is Kyle from TrueStory.fm, and I'm here to encourage you to become a supporter of our shows. You'll marvel at what a great deal it is from here to DC. If it's your election to pay just $5 a fortnight, you can get early access to ad-free episodes plus bonus content made just for members. Why, that's less than an espresso. You'll be a star. Wars have been fought over less amazing treasure. You look nice. Did you get a new tailor? Swiftly head over to truestory.fm/join to find out how you can become a member. It's a great place to be, your own personal pink pony club. Well, it's time for me to say goodbye when I'd rather say hello, kitty. Is that what you wanted?
Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Do you like movies?
Do you like sports?
I never played that sport on the screen, but I really enjoyed how the movie made me feel.
Well then, have we got a show for you. The Adrian Moment is where my friend Ocean and I discuss the triangulation of sports, movies, and life.
We dive deep into the movies, discussing how they relate to and have affected our lives.
We will talk about why the sport matters to the movie, why you don't have to love the sport to enjoy the movie, and mine a few nuggets of meaning inside the story you may not have realized was really there.
After listening to our show, come join us for more conversations about the movies that portray the thrill of victory
and the agony of defeat.
Find the Adrian Moment podcast on your favorite podcast app and join us while we cover the sports you love and the ones you never think about.
You will never see sports or sport movies the same again.
Meet Zinnia.
You are being very polite to someone who is attempting to kill us.
Her wife, Saffron.
You know I'm wildly, madly in love with you.
And their best friend, Goldie.
Glad we didn't miss all the fun.
Swords in hand, they defend their city from the worst of humanity.
I am Lord Buxton Blue.
Equity Electric.
Herr Haig. Virgil Walcott. Vicious Suave.
Follow their adventures on the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society audio drama podcast. Available now at truestory.fm/swashbuckling.
Oh, there you are. I was hoping you'd make it. Come in, sit down. Welcome to the Story Well. If you've found your way here, then here is where you belong. And joining us at the table is the lovely and talented Mandy Kaplan.
Here I am.
There you are.
Here
Fellow
I am.
podcast host, amongst the many things that you do. As opposed to Hot Ones, where they make you go through a gauntlet of pain before they allow you to do self-promotion.
I will go get hot sauce right now.
I'm not going to make you go through all of that. I'm going to roll out the red carpet. I'm going to roll out the red carpet right now and let you promote. So tell the good people what your podcast, Make Me a Nerd. What is your elevator pitch?
Okay, so I am Mandy Kaplan, and I am a mainstream mom who loves all things Taylor Swift and housewives and fantasy football. And now, at age 50, I am exploring the world of all things nerd culture that I've been afraid of my whole life.
Okay. I say I've been lucky enough to be a guest on it a couple of times, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
My question to you is, now having done a lot, you've done a ton of them, and you've had a lot of different people, a lot of different things. What are your sort of takeaways from what you've learned this far on your journey of immersing yourself in this entire weird, sometimes obsessive subculture of dragons and lightsabers and transporters and things? Like what's the biggest surprise that you've found?
Well, I think the biggest surprise is not viewing it as a subculture, viewing it as storytelling. And I can look at something like The Penguin or Orville or Star Trek, and I can find the things that I can relate to that are basic storytelling devices that I love. Yes, they're in outer space, or yes, they're in superhero worlds, but they are still human dramas that I can relate to. And I think my whole life I thought, well, I'm not interested in sci-fi. I'm not interested in superheroes. But now that I've opened my mind to it all, I'm really loving so much of it. And there have been a few that have taken it too far, bridged too far, where I'm like, nope. Sorry, Pete, I can't do Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the eighth dimension. I can't do it. Doesn't work. Doesn't work for me. But I can watch Captain America, my first Marvel watch of a film, and I loved it. But I always thought, well, that's not realistic. It's not me. But I just absolutely thought it was a masterful film. And that episode's coming up. And I'm learning so much romantasy. If you told me you're going to read books about dragons and fairies and sex, I would have said, no, screw you, I'm not. But I'm reading these things and liking them and finding the things I can relate to. So that's my journey.
Well, that's incredible. That's my wife's number one favorite genre. So like if it has a dragon or an elf or a sword on the cover, there's a chance that she has already read it.
So I've done A Court of Thorn and Roses and Fourth Wing have been my two big romantasy outings. Those are the two zeitgeisty entities. So I'm sure she knows them.
Yes. Yeah. Like she's well done. She's not quite to the people having sex with dragons those kind of genres. Those are out there. But maybe what?
That's a whole different.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. But there is a whole subculture of people being romantic with monsters.
People having sex with the dragons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And dinosaurs. And, yeah.
Okay.
It's a whole other subculture that's a subculture maybe. This is a PG-13 show, so I can't say exactly what the name of that is.
And if anyone would like to introduce those to me, reach out to me. And I will cover them with you on Make Me a Nerd.
That's awesome. Have there been anything that you went into expecting that there's some things you were sort of neutral about, but there are things that you expected, I am going to hate this. And then when you presented to it, turns out like, oh, now I get why people like, even if it's not something that you add to your collection, that you went, oh, this is something I now understand and respect, even if it's not something you're going to put on your shelf.
I would say Severance. My husband and best friend said, you can't handle it. You won't like it. It's very sci-fi. It's very dark. Don't watch Severance. And when I tell you, I watched the first episode and then shut down my life to binge the first season and the second season. I didn't miss a moment. I loved it so deeply. And I would see my husband watching it and go, oh, this looks sci-fi. This looks weird. It's not my thing. But I devoured it.
Wow. That's what I really like about what you're doing is this chance to expose yourself to all of these different types of stories. And then find the thing that comes out of nowhere. It's enough to say, like, I watch a preview and I go, oh yeah, this was made for me. But it's so much fun when something you never expected to enjoy or like, whatever, suddenly comes into your life. It's such a unique thrill.
Yes.
That you get to have that thrill multiple times, essentially in a month.
Yes. And even if I don't fall in love with the whole entity, I fall in love with a character or an aspect of it that is so meaningful to me and speaks to me. I've been thrilled with the journey.
Well, as we've been talking about all the different stories you've been exposed to, maybe it's time to let our audience experience a story on their own. So let's make something up. So let me get out the dice and let's see what we can come up with first. All right. So first we are going to come up with the format. What are we going to create a story about? We have chosen, oh, look at that. As we've been talking a lot about, a television show. It can be something, like long running, or it can be a mini series. It doesn't have to necessarily be something that has to run, like Law and Order, like 18 seasons. It can be 6 episodes and done.
Perfect.
All right. And now let's get into what our genres will be. So I'm going to pick 2. So we roll dice and we get a 1. Wow, really? It's historical fiction. So that could be pretty much from any time in history. It is what we got last time, which is weird. It's and a 1, that's pretty uncommon to roll. And 15, 50 is a fairy tale. Okay. Okay, so like a reimagining of a fairy tale, but something from history. As I'm getting us a story from the Story Engine, storyengine.com, not a sponsor, but I would gladly take their money. What is the first thing that you start thinking of when historical fiction and a fairy tale?
So fairy tale makes me think of princes and princesses. And so I thought, what about Princess Diana, who we know that was not a happy ending, but it's historical. I know it's not too long ago, but 40 years ago now. And she was a young girl plucked from obscurity into a life of a fairy tale princess. That's what I thought of.
A happy ending, but that's interesting. Yeah. I never saw the musical that they did on Netflix. Did you see that?
Well, they did it very briefly on Broadway. It was a West End thing, and then they did it on Broadway, and it was widely disliked. And then they filmed it for Netflix, and I didn't watch it. The English royalty does not grab me as a topic.
Yeah, I'm that way as well. I see people talking about the crown and they're all excited about that and stuff too. But I was like, we had a whole revolution in this country about getting rid of the monarchy. I don't know why people here are so obsessed with it. That is the one genre that has always confused me. Like, I'm just not interested in royals and what they do.
Me neither. So let's not go with this idea. Let's find a fairy tale, at other points in history.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to do that. Okay. So yeah, the Story Engine deck has come up with a determined writer wants to unmask the conspiracy of a portal, but they must leave the familiar behind and face the unknown. So it's a very interesting combination. It kind of makes me think of maybe fairy tale wise, maybe this is an author going into their book.
Oh,
Like sort of like of Outlander or whatever, that kind of thing of they're writing about a particular period of history. I was just watching a thing about Marie Antoinette and her court, that they were writing fiction about a historical planet and then find themselves in that time period.
Well, I know Outlander because I did it on the podcast. Otherwise, I would not know what you mean. So I feel proud that I know that reference. Fairy tale, I think of like woods and evil witches and, struggling protagonist women.
Yeah, it can be. But I mean, we've seen how many versions of Cinderella. I guess what periods of history interest you that you would, if you were the one who was writing this project, that you would want to spend time looking stuff up? You're like, I don't really have any interest in like the Dark Ages. Like, it seems like that would be just nonstop sickness and depression. When I last had you on, we talked about the early years of the Kennedy. So like the 60s, the sort of the early 60s.
I guess there's something appealing about the Gatsby era in America, or, the 20s, where it's like there's opulence and also poverty. And what if there is a young woman who gets caught up in the Gatsby era? And I'm saying Gatsby like I know it. I read it in high school. I'm not an expert, but
well, there's a musical of that on Broadway right now too. Yeah,
correct.
That's interesting. Well, then if we sort of take the fairy tale thing and stretch it a little bit more, like we have The Prince and the Pauper. So you have people switching places.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that. So what if we had that of like two people, like you have somebody who's like going through the stuff with the Great Depression, like actually having, having to travel and then finds that they are a physical match for a person who is living that Great Gatsby life and hates it.
Right. So a wealthy 24-year-old young woman who hates her husband, hates being a social elite.
Yeah, hates the fakeness of the people around her and is tired of the parties and
woman.
Hates all of that.
And a young 24-year-old maid scraps and gets a job in the mansion as a scullery maid. I don't know what scullery means, but I said it. And so they end up realizing they look alike and swapping places so that the scullery maid can go to these parties and this, debutante can find a real life and use her hands and work and
right. Yeah. So that's interesting because it's sort of you from the perspective of the maid, we'll say. Interesting. Like I'm already just thinking the title, like the maid and the something would be interesting. Like whatever they switched it. It's obvious, like she gets to now have all the fancy clothes and she gets to hang around beautiful people and
right.
there's wine, women, and song. Like there's all this stuff going on. We have to figure out what it is that then the rich girl gets from sort of her lower class status. Like what is it that she's? Is it freedom?
Well, is there a handsome footman?
Yeah, that would be true too. Like maybe there's a stevedore, another word I've used or seen many times. I have no idea what it actually means. Like
I've never heard it.
That she's like, oh, that guy. He's like he lifts heavy things for a living. He's a barrel maker or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a reason to go slumming a little bit
But also, if she was raised in wealth and just born and bred to be this debutante, there's real appeal to like, I would like to strip and make a bed and launder and use my hands and my wits and do other things.
Yeah, maybe that's what she's
maybe she loves animals, but all she's ever done is like be dragged by horses, but she wants to actually work with the horses. So it's a stable girl she replaces because she feels she wants to commune with the animals.
Yeah, and maybe if we have the maid essentially be either single parent family or her parents are gone, like maybe she lost them in the depression stuff too, then she thinks she's trading up because the girl's parents are still alive and doing well, but then turns out that there are some crushing social obligations that the parents have, like the expectations and demands that they have to do, that she started to anticipate, like, oh, I get to have a mother and father who are interested in me and around and still alive. But then it turns out that they're heavily involved in life. And
of course, they just drink all afternoon and they don't care. And yeah, they don't even notice it's not their daughter.
Yes, yeah, that's right. They're so wrapped up in themselves and the scene, they don't even notice the fact that it's a completely different person as their kid.
But then there's the prince, who's not really a prince. He's a socialite. I think we have to end up liking him. I think he needs to realize from the beginning, this isn't my wife, but I like this woman better.
Yeah. Or maybe this is like maybe part of that obligation is that they have been not necessarily forced to, but basically encouraged to the two families join together. Like it's like a all but arranged marriage. And it's a year long because they have to plan the thing. So it has to be a year long thing. So then maybe that's when this is like the point where this woman sees, I only have a year left. And that's where she decides to step out because she knows that then she's the wife.
Oh, they're not married yet?
Yeah. It's like maybe they're not married yet. And so then you have it that they're still supposed to be getting married. So it's the engagement process. It's the whole long season, because it has to be like, of course, everything has to be tied to the social calendar. And so maybe that's what it is. Like maybe the first season is a year.
Sure.
And then we sort of go over the course of this year. And then the last episode will be like, will they stay there or will they switch back? Will they tell the truth? Will they not? It gets interesting sort of Shakespearean things here of like seeing how the other half live.
Well, there's also like a Downton Abbey vibe of upstairs, downstairs. But so if the first episode is building up to the wedding, I feel like the episode would end with the betrothed having their last tea before the night of the wedding. And he says, I know you're not Mary Beth. I know you're, Eliza the maid. And what do you say? And then they black out. And it's like, oh, is she going to go for it? Or is she going to come clean? So episode 2, we get to find out.
Yeah, how this all happened.
what she decided.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I did the time shift thing, like the having it be right up to that moment where you go, and then which one is it really in that point? Because are you thinking like this is an actual same actress playing both roles? Or are you thinking like this is just we get women who like look a lot like each other, like what Bryce Dallas Howard and
yeah. We can find
Jessica Chastain. They have a whole thing like there's all this years of them saying they look alike. How about just why don't we cast them as people who get confused with each other?
Right. What are Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen doing now? I mean, we're ready. But what if they get married, he marries the maid because he's feeling drawn to her and there's a real love and a real connection. And then episode 2, they're chugging along. The debutante is acting like the maid is acting like the bride. And then we find out they're both pregnant.
Oh,
what?
What?
I said it.
I think you're giving away the good stuff too early. That seems like season finale stuff, like right before. That's how you get renewed.
Oh, that could be. That could be. But
yeah, wow. Yeah, I think we need to lean into your sweet spot, which is the rom-com. We need to like bring more of that in there. We need to have like sassy best friend.
So obviously the chef is a just sassy, fun, gay guy who knows the truth.
Okay, I love it.
I mean, if we're leaning into the rom-com, that's who he is. Yeah.
The Suki from Gilmore Girls, to have that as the confidant who knows what's going on. What about on the other side? How about the lower end of the class side? Who is going to be the confidant, the friend, on that side?
Oh, that's interesting. So if the debutante is now living in the lower quarters as a maid, she would have to befriend the staff down there, and there would have to be I would think there would be a handsome guy that she would, he works in the stables, and she just ends up attracted and drawn to him and being able to bond with him. And is it a will they or won't they? But I don't think she could admit to anybody, listen, my parents think I married this guy and I'm living down here.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, let's check geography. Like, 'cause I'm now thinking, I'm like, okay, is this like a southern mansion, or is this like a East Coast like estate, or is this like a vineyard in Southern California? Like, this is like the 20s. There are sort of multiple pockets of where the rich sort of hung out. So we're
I do picture like a Newport, Rhode Island, wealthy but not racist thing. I don't want it to feel racist.
Yes. So above the Mason-Dixon line is what you're saying.
Yes, I would ask that politely of production.
Okay, so I like that, the New England of it all, sort of the New Hampshire, Delaware, sort of maybe upstate New York kind of.
Yeah, any of that where
vibe. Like not in the city,
where there could be characters who are of other ethnicities who just commingle and it's not weird.
Yeah, we're in Shondaland, right?
It's like their next door neighbors are of a different ethnicity and it's all fine, and they are in every episode.
Yeah, they're sort of like, this is the big house up on the hill kind of thing, but then it's everybody's passing through and stuff too, so we can have all sorts of different areas of the town. So this is Albany, whatever. So it's just like sort of a mid-range city, so we can have a lot of different people coming through. So it's not quite so like the bustling city. Then you have a chance to have a lot of different people coming through. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and then you get sort of that old blue blood money, like that sort of
right.
The family inherited wealth thing, as opposed to the nouveau riche.
That is my background. I am from New England.
Oh, okay.
I am not old money or nouveau riche, but it's a world I'm comfortable developing. Yes.
Okay. So you know the type.
Yes.
Probably probably I would say probably some of the people you went to school with would have been sort of these well-off princesses.
No, not my school, but my husband's. He went to like a fancy private school in Boston.
Okay.
Not me. I was a little trashier.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, we're both coming in from the side of like, no, we work, we lift and carry things with our hands. We die in the fields. Yeah,
I would have been the maid.
All right, so I like that. All right, so then, how would you think that these two cross paths? Is it literally just because I would think if the maid gets hired, then people would immediately be like, hey, you look a lot like her.
Right.
It would seem like if she was actually working in the house, that would be a little more obvious because everyone would have seen her.
Right. So that's why I think she's in the stables. If she's in the stables and it's like he goes out riding and he sees her and they connect and he's like, you look so much like my betrothed. I wanted to use a big word.
I'm writing down betrothed because that's a really big word.
And then when the betrothed goes out riding, she's like, holy shit, you look like me. Oh, sorry, I swore. I think there's something about the animal aspect and keeping it out of the house. So the house staff aren't that familiar with the stable staff.
Yeah, no, it's good. Because I mean, especially at a time that like, motor cars are a luxury. Like there's not a ton of them around. This is the Model T sort of era. So we could still have horse-drawn carriages and people riding horses, and it's not weird.
Right.
So then having your stable master is actually a really important position in this household. So he has a little bit of status because it's like this is the way that you get around. And also there's that thing of having the nice car is like having the nice horse. So you want to have like they want to be presentable and stuff too. So these aren't field horses. Like these are
maybe the stable master is like a confidant of both women who sees the switch, so he's constantly like they confide, or I don't know, like maybe he's a wise guy who's like, I see what happened here and I support it and I'm not going to blow anyone's cover, but he's charmed by it because he thinks both women could be happier.
Yeah. Yeah. He sees that both of them are sort of miserable their own way.
And he's a paternal type.
If someone discovers this, are there any big consequences? I mean, I don't want to go down the road of like, you lied, so now you're going to be arrested and put to death. But I guess there have to be a little bit of stakes in terms of at a certain point, once they get to a certain point of being switched, that if they switch back, things will be very, very difficult. Can you think of some obstacles we can throw at them?
What would that be? Would there be a meddling aunt or grandma who is getting close to the truth? And
oh, that's interesting. Who's sniffing around?
Oh, and what if the girls kill her? The girls kill her.
Ooh. Wow. Oh.
Grandma Sable. Her name is Sable. I don't know why. Grandma Sable in the first few episodes is like, dear, you look different. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you aren't the same girl I know. And she's starting to get close. And the stable manager's like, yes, Sable's been around and she's asking questions. So the girls conspire to kill her.
Wow. Okay.
So she won't destroy their lives.
Okay. So to keep their secret, they're gonna murder the old lady.
Yeah, they are.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So we've gone into
historical fiction. People die, Kyle. In historical fiction, people die.
There have been murders for as long as there have been people. So that is absolutely true. Okay. So we're going into a little dark thing. So is this comedic murder, or is this like then the show takes a turn and now it becomes about an investigator comes in and now we've drifted into the realm of Knives Out? And
I mean, what if the investigator who comes in is an old romantic entanglement for the debutante who's now a stable girl? So she thinks like, oh, I could rekindle with him, but I've participated in this terrible crime. Oh,
that's interesting. That would be interesting to have her end up as pretending to be the maid, end up being the Watson to this person's homes, like along with the following
on her own crime.
Yes, on her own crime, and also pretending to be someone else at the same time. Ooh, I would like to rewind just a little bit because I'm having trouble getting past the fact that now these two have conspired to murder someone. I think perhaps it'd be better if like they get close and they try and like confront her and then she accidentally dies.
Okay.
Falls off a bridge or
fine.
Like it's, has a heart condition and she dies of but it looks like they killed her or someone killed her. They didn't actually like intentionally shove her in front of the horses as they were, galloping by or something. But
it's possible I am a true crime junkie and I am trying to impose. But yes, okay, fine. She accidentally dies, but both girls seem culpable. And
well, I mean, there is another version of this that it's sort of like, as we're sort of midway through the thing, where if we want to go all the way back and make this into a cozy murder mystery, then maybe that's the reason that they do the switch, is that someone that they both know dies and they realize to get the answers, they need to be on the other side.
That's not fairy tale-esque. I'm holding you to the fairy tale thing.
Yeah, it depends how it ends. Like, I mean, it's still Prince and the Pauper. It's still switching around. And if there's a happily ever after, then it's still a fairy tale. And then we could once upon a time we could pepper things all the way through of having people of Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella and all of these things that are similar, but just enough to sort of like wink nudge sort of in an ever after is Cinderella kind of way. Does the murder mystery thing sort of excite you more than the rom-com?
I like the idea that if they have to entertain, as I've heard wealthy people often have to do, then it's fun to think they would welcome people into the home and into the property who represent, Little Red Riding Hood and other fairy tale-esque people. I'm a big Into the Woods fan, so I'm trying to horseshoe that.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that. So we could have, Mr. Wolf show up as sort of like this big bullish personality and like is suspicious and nobody can trust him and stuff too. And you can have that. Okay, so all right, so then let's bring back to the beginning, as opposed to the marriage thing being it that these two are in a place and someone that connects the two of them. So maybe even one of the people we were talking about as being one of their mentors is killed, and they realize that the killer is probably in high society, and the debutante is not equipped to do any of the investigation stuff. She's never been challenged. She's never had any adversity in her life. She has no idea how to try and get information out of people. And the maid has had a rough and tumble life. And so maybe that's the reason they make the switch, because she's like, I would be better at this than you. And it's like, let me step in.
So the end of the pilot is the switch.
Yes. That let me go in and just like teach me to be you. And I'll go in and I'll determine who it is that does. I'll be the one to figure it out. And the other one could be like, I'm happy to get out of this situation, which I do not like. It's the same thing. We can still have the same idea of they both want what sees the other person's life as being perfect, but then it's a way to her. She's like, oh, I get to go on vacation. All I got to do is teach you lessons on how to live in a fancy world. Great. And then it turns out that, it's sort of not what they expected, but then it ends up becoming the thing that they didn't know that they needed.
Okay. Yes.
Then we have this mystery then over the whole thing of like them kind of going through all of these people and trying to figure out what it is. And maybe then the mystery ends up going down into the lower classes, into the help of the stables. Maybe it is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she ends up having to use her. She's not just sitting on the sidelines, and our debutante ends up having to do all of this stuff as well. So she ends up more developing as well. Ooh, this is exciting. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the title we use to pitch it. Only Murders in the Mansion.
Yeah. It's not going to fly in Hollywood, but okay, I see where you're going.
No. But it's okay. So then, if you want to bring back the fairy tale, like we talked about, Mr. Wolf, we could do like all like the thing I really love about the current trend of these cozy mysteries. And I just recently watched The Residence on Netflix, which was an absolutely phenomenal show.
I'm in the middle. Yes. Yes, I'm in the middle and very much enjoying.
Yeah, I everything about that. Like I was like, whatever we could do to draft off of that. I'm gonna have a bit. One of the things that I love about that is the ensemble. Like it gives character actors a real chance to shine
Yes.
in these things. So
Yeah.
if we then have it that we have our sort of our two central women as our leads, then we can populate the rest of this world with really big personalities and really big characters to allow actors to come in and really make a stamp.
Right.
And then we could do following that sort of fairy tale pattern. Like we have Ellen Queen or whatever, and then she comes in. So she used to be a popular star when it was silent, and now they've done sound, and so she's out, but she still is really vain and envious of all the young pretty people and stuff too. And so like did you see the one that came in the burner? So we have like almost a Clue-esque thing of we could take all these fairy tale tropes and make big characters out of them as suspects in this murder.
Yeah, I mean, there's twisting and turning we can do with these stock fairy tale characters about princes who are obviously perhaps too macho and inept and maybe gay.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
you know, the evil queen being the one who's so jealous of the youth of, you know, this debutante getting married and her name could be not Maleficent, but something similar.
Right.
To imply the fairy tale-ness of it.
Oh yeah, even that she wasn't invited but just showed up and was really put out the fact that no one invited her because everyone is afraid of her and hates her. And so she's there, you know, as the uninvited guest over the course of this this month. Maybe we even shrink the time down of like it all happens in the course of before the wedding, so we have it be rather than a year.
Is there a narcoleptic beautiful sister who keeps falling asleep at everything and she's Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah, see,
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
exactly, that kind of that you have that everyone that she's the one that they keep, like maybe she's another maid and they keep finding her asleep in places and they think that she's lazy, but she's not. And maybe that ends up being a clue. Like maybe there was, she was drugged or something. You know, that's.
So the pilot is two women realizing they want to change places, right? And the end of the pilot, I think the maid goes to dinner with our Gatsby, our handsome guy, and he's mesmerized. And you look different tonight, and you're not yourself, and you're being so witty tonight. And great, they've pulled it off. But I mean, maybe the pilot ends with like the maid receiving a note. I know what you've done and you're not going to get away with it.
Okay.
So then the season builds to like, they have to find who this woman is, who I'm calling Aunt Sable. And, you know, and they find her, and does something happen to her, or do they kill her? And throughout the season, they're trying to protect their identities from this switch. And the house is populated with other fairy tale characters. And then they get away with murder. Everything is fine. But the end of season 1 is now they're both pregnant by this guy. Because it's only been 3 or 4 months that have passed, right?
Right. Okay. All right. Wow. What a cad. But he didn't know. He thought it was the same person. But so they're both in love with the same man then?
But he's like, I don't want to say Don Draper, because Don
Draper is kind of problematic.
He's awful, but the idea that he has good intentions, but he's just, you know, beholden to his upbringing in society, and he can't break free of that.
He's Mr. Darcy.
Oh, okay. Classy, Kyle.
Well, you know,
yeah.
It's we're getting into a little bit of that sort of same, you know, idea from across the pond.
Yeah, but you know, let's say he and the debutante had too much to drink one night, and they did have sloppy sex, and it wasn't great, which we'll learn in flashback in season 2 once they realize they're both pregnant. And then, you know, he is taken with the maid once she is his bride, and they marry, and then they have passionate, wonderful sex. And now he's gotten them both pregnant.
I know. Now I'm excited about season 2 of these two hugely pregnant women also having to solve another mystery. Running around having to take pee breaks and stuff too as they're
Right.
pursuing someone and having to deal with pregnancy brain and stuff too.
Absolutely. Pee breaks in the buckets, because this is historical fiction, so they don't have
That's right.
indoor plumbing. Yeah.
That's fun. Okay, so who is it that that connects them enough that when this person dies, that they both are dedicated to solving this mystery, as opposed to just being like, oh well, like it's the 1920s, things are tough.
Well, is that an outside force who comes in? A Prince Charming, if you will, Inspector Prince. If they were with this woman, do they suspect each other? Do they turn on each other? Because it's like, well, I was with her at 8:55. You were with her at 9:15. They think she died shortly after. I didn't kill her. And they turn on each other.
So do you think we should then keep the a secret, even for like we even have the audience thinking one of them could have been the killer?
Yeah, of course.
Until we reveal later on.
Yes.
Okay. So everyone's a suspect, including our leads.
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. The plot thickens. I like this.
Is the husband involved in some way? Like, is he like, I had to kill her. She was going to reveal the truth and ruin my chance at happiness with the woman I actually do love.
Yeah. Or it will end up being like our friend, the cook, who you two seem so happy. She was going to stop all that. So I had to stop her to make sure that you got your happily ever after. And that could be like that with we could even we sort of play off of the, Orient Express thing where multiple people were trying to kill this person that everyone hated. Maybe this is the aunt.
Right. Multiple people in the staff knew about the switch, but they wanted to keep the switch because they preferred their master happy. They always liked this woman.
That would be so much fun, is that you get to the last episode and it turns out, oh no one was fooled. But they just never really, no one ever talked about it. They're just like, yeah, you seem like you guys were having fun, so we just sort of let you have it. Like, it was this whole way through of like, no one would ever believe this. And then you get to the end and go, yeah, you're right, no one would ever believe this. And so they were just like, they're kids, let them run around and play dress up, it's fine.
Right.
It was the social hit of the season, of like watching these two like the little scorecards that they're marking down of like, oh well, they really think we didn't get that.
Did you watch Bridgerton?
I did not. That was another one I tried and I couldn't get into it.
Nor did I. I thought it was garbage, so I didn't watch it.
I watched the first episode and I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
But I'm feeling some of those vibes of this overblown societal mansion, and
yeah I kind of want to lean more into just like the clue, the movie of it all, of like these extreme personalities in this big estate running around, like trying to like wacky misadventures,
right?
Near death experiences. The frothy, I guess, is the word I'm coming up with. That sort of thing of like it's always moving, it's always changing stuff too, but enough that it's not going to be a cartoon.
I enjoy a frothy show, Kyle.
I don't have to sell you on the frothy.
No, I enjoy a frothy show. No, I'm all about frothy. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking it is. Hints of Great Gatsby and Upstairs, Downstairs, and The Residence, and Into the Woods.
Yes. I like it. I think this is really good. Like now I want to like get in and start figuring out all of the moving pieces and like the who and why, and figuring out all the intricacy stuff too. But like that's for later on down the line. We'll let somebody else figure that out. The big question then, I guess, the most difficult ends up being, what do we title it?
I know. I knew you were going to say it, and The Stable Fable.
Stable Fable. Okay. All right. Not bad. I do like Betrothed. You brought that up. I thought that was a really good word.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there has to be a 100 different bodice rippers that are called Betrothed, but like I really liked that.
Hot. Yeah.
Because it's about a marriage, but it's also has that old timey sort of feel to it. And if you put it in like almost like the big 1920s, like on the side of a building sort of font, like the Betrothed, like exclamation point, like adventure, like that.
Right. And we're going for something soap opera-y and
yeah.
So yeah. I'm down with Betrothed.
You like Betrothed? I like that. Yeah, I think that works.
Like Entangled, wasn't that movie with Amy Adams?
Enchanted.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant.
Enchanted. There is a movie called Tangled, and there's a movie called Enchanted. I think you were just
Tangled. Yes, that's what I meant. I meant all of it.
You were portmanteauing them together.
Sure. I don't speak French. Go for it.
All right. Well, there you go. So then, Betrothed! Exclamation point! Like I'm now desperate to see this actually realized because I want to know who killed him. But yeah, so we have our 1920s frothy murder mystery at a wedding, switching, high comedy, low standards. This is, and then we already have our shocking season finale thing that'll make them unable to not give us a season 2. So that's great. But
right.
But there you go, audience. So now, if you are enraptured by this idea and want an invite to this wedding, well, congratulations. Betrothed is now yours. Anyone who is listening to this, we are releasing the idea under Creative Commons Attribution. All we ask is that you link back to us so we can see the final result. Do you want to write it as a screenplay? Do you want to write it as a television show? Do you want to write it put it on AO3 and cast it with actual real people? Do you want to do the movie poster? I would love to see that. It's all yours. All we ask is that we can see the final product. So that goes for you too, Mandy. If this strikes you and you want to try and develop it, you have my blessing.
Thank you.
All I want is a cameo.
Okay.
If people want to follow you on your journey on becoming more of a nerd, where can they go and find this wonderful podcast that you put out on a very regular basis, which I'm impressed with?
Every week, makemeanerd.com. It's quite easy.
Makemeanerd.com. There have been a lot of people talking about a lot of things that I love. So there have been some, and I did enjoy the Buckaroo Banzai episode because I was on the Pete side of it too, because that is a movie that I enjoy too, even though I was shocked that he made you watch it. Because I was like, this seems like a lot. This seems like really hardcore. Like if someone you're trying to get, you don't give them the hard stuff right up front. You sort of like lure them in a little bit more.
I got thrown in the deep end and I was not happy. But there have been only a couple of entities that I have felt that way about. Most everything I'm enjoying and finding stuff to enjoy and relating, but that was tough.
I am on a horror podcast called Sitting in the Dark, and I found that there are many things that they, especially our mutual friend Tommy Metz and I, turns out have diametrically opposed tastes. So it's become also a running joke of when he's introducing movies that he's going to be like, all right, what did you hate?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not for me. So I totally understand.
Tommy Metz, frequent guest on Make Me a Nerd. Even though when I proposed it to him, he said, I'm not a nerd. But oh my Lord, is he a nerd? About certain things, he is nerdy.
It's always fun. So, and this was fun too. Thank you for coming on. Like, who would have known that we started out there and ended up with this amazing murder mystery thing that I'm now desperate to see, and it will take up a permanent place in my imagination.
I hope so. I hope it haunts you.
Well, the stories won't write themselves, so back into the world we must go. Thank you for stopping by. If you're in this part of the world again, there will always be a place for you here at the Storywell. Now, go tell your story.